Hey, how's it going? Ever been in a restaurant and felt that little flutter in your stomach just thinking about ordering food in English? You know, that moment when you're surrounded by words that seem to have a life of their own, and you realize you're missing something to really communicate confidently. I've totally been there, and let me tell you, it's a terrifying feeling to freeze up while the waiter is waiting for your answer. Imagine if you could turn that fear into a sharp skill, making you shine in any situation, even the trickiest ones. Today, I want to invite you to discover a secret that's going to boost your English in a way you never imagined. I won't spill all the beans just yet, but I can promise you this. What you learn here will get you ready to face any restaurant without stumbling over your words and so much more. Stay tuned if you're looking to stop feeling insecure and master those moments that feel like real tests of courage. This lesson could be a game changer in your language journey. And if you're ready to transform the way you communicate in English, make sure to subscribe. This could be the decisive step to achieving the English you've always wanted. So let's go. Essential terms for eating out. Now let's dive into a super essential topic for anyone who goes to restaurants: the terms we use to talk about eating out. When you decide to take a break from routine to savor a good meal away from home, there are some basic expressions that make communication way easier. First, we have the expressions eat out and dine out. Both basically mean the same thing, going out to eat. However, dine out can sound a bit more formal or fancy, while eat out is pretty casual. So, if you're chatting with friends about making plans for a relaxed dinner, you could say, "Hey, let's eat out tonight," or "Let's dine out and try that new place downtown." They're simple and direct ways to express wanting to eat out. And hey, when was the last time you used to eat out or dine out in real life? Share in the comments. Another important point is when you need to reserve a spot. In English, we use expressions like book a table or make a reservation. These are what you'll use when you call or arrive at the restaurant and want to make sure you get a table before sitting down. For example, you could say, "I'd like to book a table for 2 at 8 p.m., or "Could you please make a reservation in my name?" These terms are key to getting served quickly and avoiding the surprise of a full restaurant. Also, describing the vibe and experience, you might come across the term reasonably priced, which means the restaurant has fair prices. Imagine you want to recommend a place to a friend. You might say, "I recommend this restaurant because it's reasonably priced and the food is great." This expression helps convey that you found a balance between quality and price, which is highly valued by restaurant goers. Now, also think about how these words fit in when making plans. For example, if you're organizing a dinner with friends, you could say, "I really enjoy eating out on weekends. Let's book a table at that new Italian restaurant I've heard about." That way, you're showing from the start that the plan will involve fun and good food, using the right words to set the expectation. Another practical tip is to try and include these terms in your everyday conversations. If you're practicing by yourself, imagine conversations where you invite someone to dinner or describe your experience at a restaurant you visited. This practice helps to lock in the vocabulary and feel confident. Little by little, these expressions will become automatic, and you'll realize that talking about eating out becomes natural and enjoyable. Remember, these terms aren't just isolated words, they're part of a set of expressions that help tell a story, your story of food experiences. By using eat out, dine out, book a table, and reasonably priced, you not only communicate better, but you also enrich your conversations by not leaving out those essential details. So, next time you think about eating out, try using these expressions. Chat with your friends, plan a different kind of night out, and let the new vocabulary transform your experience into an even more fun and authentic moment. Are you ready for this upgrade in your English? Let's do this together, putting these words into practice and being surprised at how easy it becomes to express yourself. Getting to know the team and cooking styles. Now let's talk about another super important aspect for restaurant success, getting to know the team and the different cooking styles. This part of the experience isn't just about savoring good food, but also about understanding how the service works and what options are available so you can make even better choices. First off, imagine walking into a restaurant and being greeted by super attentive service where every detail seems designed just for you. Terms like attentive describe this kind of service that's always ready to help without being pushy. When a waiter is attentive, they notice your needs even before you ask for something, which makes for a more pleasant and personalized experience. For example, the waiter was very attentive and made sure we had everything we needed. Besides the service, knowing the different types of cuisine is essential to make the most of your meal. In the restaurant world, there are various cooking styles. Think of local cuisine, which brings the traditional flavors of the region, continental, which is more classic and sophisticated, and oriental, full of exotic spices and surprising techniques. Knowing how to spot these styles can even influence your choice depending on what you're in the mood for that day. You can say, for example, I really enjoy continental cuisine because it's elegant and rich in flavors. And we can't forget about dietary preferences. Many people choose to be vegetarian or even vegan for different reasons, whether it's health or ethics. These words are essential so that the waiter or chef can suggest dishes that fit your needs or wants. For example, I'm a vegan, so could you please recommend a few vegan options? Let's take a look at some phrases that can be used in real situations. The service here is incredibly attentive and makes the dining experience very pleasant. I love trying different styles of cuisine. Today, I feel like having some Oriental dishes. Since I'm a vegetarian, I usually check if the restaurant offers any vegetarian or vegan options on the menu. These expressions help not only to describe the restaurant's atmosphere, but also to communicate your own preferences clearly and naturally. When you can identify and use these terms, the experience becomes more personalized, and the conversation with the restaurant staff flows much better. Have you ever had an experience where attentive service made all the difference in your meal? What kind of cuisine do you prefer and why? Have you ever tried something new and been surprised? Tell us about it here in the comments. Remember, getting to know the team and the cooking styles available is a way to better enjoy every meal out and also to enrich your English vocabulary. Each new expression you learn brings you closer to fluency in everyday life. Example dialogue to apply vocabulary. We've explored a good chunk of vocabulary and useful expressions for communicating in a restaurant. How about seeing it all in action? I'm going to present a dialogue that simulates a real experience in a light and relaxed way so you can see how to use these expressions in everyday life. Imagine this situation: you and a friend decide to go out to dinner at a nice restaurant you've heard is reasonably priced and has attentive service. Before you get there, you call to book a table. Hear how the conversation might go. Hello, I'd like to make a reservation for 2 this evening at 7 p.m., please. Receptionist, sure, we can certainly book a table for you at 7. May I have your name? It's Bob. I've heard great things about your restaurant, especially about the attentive service. Receptionist, thank you, Bob, you're all set, see you this evening. Arriving at the restaurant when you're greeted by the waiter, the dialogue continues. Waiter, good evening, welcome to our restaurant, do you have a reservation? You, yes, I booked a table for 2 under Bob. Waiter, excellent, right this way please, would you like to sit inside or outside? You, I'd prefer outside please, I love the ambience there. After getting settled, you start looking at the menu. Here are a few more interesting expressions. You, to your friend excitedly, look at this, they're offering today's special and the restaurant is reasonably priced. Friend, yeah, I'm excited to try their signature dishes. I heard the chef pays great attention to every detail. Waiter, approaching to take orders, have you decided what you'd like to order? You, yes, I'll have the grilled salmon and my friend will have the chicken pasta. And could we also have a side of fresh salad? Waiter, certainly, would you like any drinks with that? Friend, yes, let's order a round of drinks for the table, please. At this point, you've already used several useful expressions like make a reservation, reasonably priced, today's special, and round of drinks. This practice shows how simple it is to include the vocabulary you've learned in everyday situations. Also, during this dialogue, it's worth noting the importance of responding clearly and friendly. For example, saying, I'd prefer outside, or could we also have a side of fresh salad, shows that you feel confident and know exactly what you want. This dialogue example isn't just to illustrate the terms, but also to inspire you to practice. How about trying to retell this dialogue with your own examples? Imagine variations. You could change the dish you order, or change the reservation time, or even choose a different drink option. That way, each of these details becomes an active part of your learning. Try practicing this dialogue alone or with a friend, adapting the lines to your own choices. The more you get used to using these expressions, the more natural it will be to use them in everyday life. Specific restaurant vocabulary. Now, let's dig a little deeper into the restaurant setting and learn terms you'll find on the menu and in the place itself. This vocabulary is essential so you feel ready for any situation, from choosing an appetizer to ordering dessert at the end of the meal. First, imagine you're looking at the menu and you come across the expression today's special. This is a fancy and common way to highlight the special dish of the day. You can use this term when you want to know what the day's recommendation is. For example, when talking to the waiter, you can ask, could you please tell me what's today's special? This way, you show interest in what the restaurant has to offer best at that moment. Another important aspect is the menu structure. Normally, it's divided into sections like appetizer, main course, and dessert. Terms like appetizer for starter and dessert for afters are basic but essential. If you want to order suggesting something like, I'd like to start with an appetizer, you're using the vocabulary correctly and confidently. Besides the menu categories, there are also expressions that help you specify ingredients or preparations. For example, if the dish has a special sauce, you might see descriptions like creamy sauce or spicy dressing. These expressions not only enrich your restaurant experience, but also help train your ears to understand important details about food preparation. Another interesting point is when the menu indicates options for dietary restrictions. Terms like gluten-free, vegan, and vegetarian are increasingly common. Imagine you need to confirm if a certain dish meets your dietary needs. Does this dish come gluten-free? It might be a simple question, but very important to ensure you make the right choice. Also, the restaurant atmosphere may have other useful indications like daily specials or even chef's recommendations. These expressions show you're paying attention to what's new and care about the quality of your meal. Now, let's look at some practical examples of how these words and expressions can be used. I'm interested in trying the chef's recommendations. They usually have a unique touch. Could you please explain what today's special is? I'm curious to know the ingredients. I have certain dietary restrictions. Could you tell me if this dish is vegan and gluten-free? I'd like to see the appetizer menu first. The salads and soups here look very appealing. What does this dish include? It has a creamy sauce that sounds delicious. These terms and expressions will help you fill out your vocabulary with specific details of a restaurant setting. Practicing recognizing these words and using them in real situations will make you feel more confident when reading a menu and talking to the staff. Every new expression you learn is another tool to transform your dining experiences into active learning moments. And hey, what menu term can't you live without? Leave your answer in the comments. So, next time you're in a restaurant, try to pay attention to the menu details and the specific terms. Use these expressions to ask questions, to compliment the dishes, or even to talk about the chef's recommendations. This daily practice will, without a doubt, help you master the specific vocabulary and also enrich your English naturally and practically. Let's walk this path together and enjoy every meal as an opportunity to learn even more. More example dialogues and ordering phrases. After learning a super useful vocabulary, I think we need to put everything into practice with more examples of dialogues and phrases you can use when placing your order. This part is fundamental because, besides helping you lock in the words, it shows how expressions can be applied naturally in everyday life. Think of it as a script you can adapt to fit the situation, making your communication flow smoothly and without that unnecessary nervousness. Imagine you're at a quiet dinner with friends, and after looking through the menu options, it's time to choose the main course. Here's how the dialogue might unfold. Waiter, good evening. Have you decided on what you'd like to order? You, yes, I'd like the grilled chicken with a side of mixed vegetables, please. Friend, and I'll have the pasta in a creamy sauce. Make it two, please. Waiter, certainly. Would you like something to drink while you wait? You, yes, let's have a round of drinks for the table. I'd like a glass of red wine for me and a sparkling water for my friend. Waiter, sure, I'll bring them right away. In this example, you saw how the expressions make it two, which is used to order the same option for more than one person, and a round of drinks, to order drinks for the whole table, are used to make the conversation more spontaneous and natural. This approach gives off a sense of confidence, because while you're placing your order, you're also showing command of the specific terms for the setting. Another common situation is when you have a question about a dish or even want suggestions from the waiter. For example, waiter, are you interested in today's special, or would you prefer to pick from our regular menu? You, I'm not sure. Could you please tell me more about today's special? I'd like to know what ingredients are used. Waiter, of course, today's special is a seared salmon with a light lemon sauce, served with seasonal vegetables. You, that sounds delicious. I'll have that, please. Waiter, excellent choice. Would you like any appetizers to go along with it? You, yes, I would love to start with an appetizer. Could you recommend something light? These conversations show how important it is to interact clearly and smoothly, making ordering a natural conversation that doesn't need to be formal or complicated. Additional terms to get attention in the restaurant. Now, let's talk about how to get the waiters or other restaurant staff's attention with informal and practical expressions, the ones that make communication flow naturally without that shyness that can mess with the service. In a restaurant, sometimes you need to get someone's attention without seeming rude. This skill is super important and will help you feel more confident when interacting with the staff. One of the terms you can use is flag down. This expression means to get someone's attention, usually by waving or raising your hand when you need something like more water or the menu. For example, if the waiter hasn't come over yet, you can say, "Excuse me, could you please flag down a waiter?" This phrase is simple and efficient. You'll be communicating clearly that you need attention without needing to beat around the bush. Another useful expression is right away. When something is urgent or you want the service to be immediate, use this expression to convey your need without hesitation. For example, if you order the main course and you're really hungry, you can say, "I would appreciate it if my order could be served right away." This phrase politely communicates that you need your order quickly but without sounding demanding. It's also good to know how to get attention more subtly. If the waiter is passing by and you need something, you can simply say, "Excuse me," with a smile. This "excuse me" works as a universal signal that you want to interact, whether to order a drink, ask about a menu detail, or make a last-minute reservation. Let's see some practical examples. 1. If you need more water, you can say, "Excuse me, could you please flag down a waiter for a refill?" 2. When the table is ready to be served, you can use, "Could we have a round of drinks for everyone right away, please?" 3. When you need information about the menu, try, "Excuse me, I have a quick question about today's special. Could you help me, please?" Payment vocabulary. We've reached that final moment of the meal when the bill arrives at the table and the question comes, "How would you like to pay?" This part might seem simple, but it has its own special charm, and mastering the vocabulary related to payment is essential to wrap up the dining experience on a high note. Imagine you've finished a delicious meal with friends and the bill is there, circulating around the table. It's time to decide how to handle it. Some expressions are super useful at this moment. For example, if you offer to pay, you can say, "I'll foot the bill." This expression, besides being informal and cool, shows that you're willing to take care of the bill in a relaxed way. Now, if the idea is to split it evenly, use the expression "go Dutch" or "split the bill." This way, you make it clear that everyone will pay their share. These words and phrases make the negotiation much lighter and more practical. Another common situation is when you need to tell them your payment method. Maybe you prefer to pay by credit card or even in cash. You can say, "I'd like to pay by credit card." If you're in a more formal situation, you can opt for something like, "Could you please bring the bill? I'd like to settle it using my credit card." These phrases show confidence and command of the language, as well as making everything clear to the waiter. Sometimes, you might want to use an expression to indicate that you're confident in sorting out the bill without any problems. A good option is "Don't worry, I've got it," which conveys the idea that you'll take care of the payment. Or, if you're in a situation where you want the person who invited the group to pay, you can suggest, "Would you mind if we split the bill? That way, it's fair for everyone." This approach is great for showing that you value fairness and clarity when discussing the bill amount. In some restaurants, the payment may include an automatic service charge, but even so, knowing how to ask doesn't hurt. "Is the service charge included?" is a polite way to ask about bill details. If the answer is no, you can proceed with something like, "In that case, I'll leave an appropriate tip." Finally, imagine this practical situation. You and your friends have finished your meal, and the waiter brings the bill. You say, "I'll pay by credit card this time," while your friend suggests, "Actually, let's go Dutch so everyone pays their share." In this dialogue, each expression has its moment. You use "I'll pay by credit card" to indicate your preference, while your friend suggests "Go Dutch" to split the bill, which is a common and much appreciated practice in informal and friendly situations. Final dialogue focusing on payment. Let's check out an example dialogue that shows this part of the restaurant experience, and then chat a bit about it. Imagine the following situation. After a delicious meal with friends, the waiter brings the bill and the vibe is relaxed. Here, what might happen? Waiter, here is your bill. How would you like to pay? You, I'd like to pay by credit card, thank you. Friend, actually, let's go Dutch today so that everyone pays their share. Waiter, certainly. Would you like me to split the bill for you? You, yes please, that would be great. Friend with a smile, don't worry, I've got it covered next time. Waiter, very well, please confirm the total split. Is it an equal division? You, yes, that works perfectly for us, thank you. In this dialogue, you see how the expressions fit together lightly and clearly. Using "I'd like to pay by credit card" is direct, showing confidence in your choice of payment method. When your friend suggests "Let's go Dutch," they propose splitting the bill equally, which is a common and very transparent practice, especially among friends. Another important aspect is courtesy. Asking, "Would you like me to split the bill for you?" shows that the waiter is paying attention to each customer's needs, and responding, "That works perfectly for us," reaffirms that everyone agrees with the split, making the situation clear and without surprises. These little exchanges make the atmosphere relaxed and show that everyone is comfortable with the communication. Conclusion. Let's recap. Today you picked up tons of expressions that are going to make all the difference when ordering food in English. Starting with knowing the difference between eat out and dine out, moving through how to book a table with book a table or make a reservation, all the way to the specific vocabulary to describe the dining experience, like reasonably priced and attentive. You've already got the tools to feel way more confident when you walk into a restaurant. Plus, we went over tips on how to grab attention with phrases like "flag down" and how to deal with paying by using terms like "go Dutch" or "foot the bill." To nail this down even more, let's imagine this final dialogue. Waiter, here is your bill. How would you like to pay? You, I'd like to pay by credit card, thank you. Friend, actually, let's go Dutch today so everyone pays their share. Waiter, certainly. Would you like me to split the bill for you? You, yes please, that works perfectly for us. Friend, smiling, don't worry, I've got it covered next time. When you practice these expressions, you're turning each experience into a vocabulary workout, ditching the nervousness and getting natural, whether it's ordering a special dish or finishing up the bill. Starting today, ordering food in English is going to be way easier and more fun. Here's the secret phrase: for my next meal in English, I want to. I'm really looking forward to seeing you finish this sentence in the comments with your tastiest experience. Let's hear about your MasterChef moments in English. If you enjoyed this lesson and want to keep leveling up your English in a fun and practical way, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tell us about your experiences in the comments. We're here to help you unlock all the Learn English secrets. Keep moving forward and find out the Learn English secrets through this video or playlist right here. See you in the next video.